carries 1 yard for the Cougar touchdown.
Welcome into the Devil's Digest postgame show following Arizona State's 24-16 loss here at Mount America Stadium to Houston. The Sun Devils now drop to 5-3 overall and 3-2 in Big 12 play. My name is Justin Leserdoza. That's publisher Hodabino. Before we get into things, we'd like to quickly thank our sponsors in Burrito Express and Santan Ford and Hode. It's been 700 days exactly since ASU lost a game in this building. That's a 10-game streak. We knew that that streak was going to end eventually, but coming off a win against number 7 Texas Tech in this stadium just a week prior, no one would have thought that it would come in this fashion.
Yeah, I agree, Justin. I think that we just didn't think there was going to be such a poor performance. It's not really just the loss itself. And look, I mean, we said in our preview that Houston already clinched bowl eligibility a couple weeks ago. They came in here with a 6-1 record, 3-1 in Big 12 play. Now leave Tempe with 7-1. 4-1 record in conference play. So this was a very, very good team, and you don't take anything away from what they're able to do to ASU, but nonetheless, just a very sloppy performance by the Sun Devils, double-digit penalties. Special teams were, again, absolutely atrocious, and it was just a really, really frustrating performance all around. So I know when somebody's going to look at the box score, they're going to think that maybe it really was a close game that ASU just wasn't able to pull up in the end. But ASU just dug themselves such a huge hole at 24-0. For them even to keep the game somewhat close in the fourth quarter, it really was a minor miracle. But I just feel that all the issues that really haunted them the first 3 quarters came and made a repeat visit in the fourth quarter. You could talk about questionable officiating, a touchdown coming back because of a legal shift penalty that did not affect the play whatsoever. You could talk about a missed field goal for Houston at the very end that maybe gave ASU a glimmer of hope. That was called back also for a penalty. Pass interferences seemed to be only something that the ASU defense was the quote-unquote beneficiary of it, but Houston never was. But I always say that you're going to have bad officiating each and every game. The goal here is really to take the game out of the officiating hands, and ASU was not able to do it because, again, when you dig yourself a 24-0 hole, to come out of that hole, even here at home where you had extreme success, like I said, the last 700 days, really was mission impossible.
Yeah, obviously no Jordan Tyson, so a lot of people kind of thought that it took a while for ASU to get into its offense, but some of the stats might be a little bit deceiving because, as you said, ASU was down 24-0 and didn't score its first touchdown until early in the fourth quarter. What did you see from ASU's offense?
Well, look, I mean, I think unlike the Texas Tech game, ASU wasn't able to, quote-unquote, get away with a pretty good passing game, but really the running game being shut down. So I think Houston, you just give him credit for really forcing ASU to be almost one-dimensional the entire game. And, I think the results really just speaks for themselves because you look at, Raleek Brown only having 11 carries for 64 yards. ASU as a whole only had 98 yards rushing. Now, Sam Levitt did not have a bad game on the heels of a 319 passing yard game. He was 18 out of 35, 275 yards, did have 1 touchdown pass, but also did have a fumble loss. And that was one of the drives where ASU actually was able to move the ball quite well. And that turnover obviously just really, put the kibosh on that. We expected Malik McClain to step up. He had 7 catches for 159 yards, but really wasn't able to do a whole lot earlier in the game when ASU probably needed him more. So a lot with the ASU offense was just too little, too late. And again, I just think the fact that they were one-dimensional really did hurt them. Sam Levitt is obviously not even close to being 100% healthy. Did leave the game in the first half because of an injury, which I'm not sure really was to his right foot or not. Jeff Sims came in, did somewhat okay, but the whole offense, like I said, just being one-dimensional really, really hurt them. In the last 2 drives of the game, Sam Levitt did re-injure his right foot, and Jeff Sims coming in again doesn't really able to get a whole lot going. I'm definitely not putting the game on Jeff Sims, don't get me wrong, because I really think, and this is really overstating the obvious, the success of the offense starts and ends with the offensive line. And this offensive line was not able to control the line of scrimmage for pretty much the entire game. Wasn't able to get the running game going. Sam Levitt and at times just was really running for their lives, not really able to be set and really exploit the long balls that Houston were giving to you, because they were basically really shutting down the short and the medium routes. So anytime you want to really stretch the field, first and foremost, you need the offensive line to give you protection. And when ASU wasn't able to do that up front, I think that really doomed the Sun Devils. Again, this is not an offense that can get away week in and week out being one-dimensional. Somehow they made it happen against Texas Tech, but against Houston, I really was a total story. We said in our preview, this is a Houston team that really rides on the success of their defense, and ASU learned that painful lesson tonight.
Yeah, and this ASU defense didn't necessarily play bad, but not good enough to override those offensive struggles. Some pretty slow starts from the defense in both the first and second half. What'd you make of that unit?
Yeah, I'm always a big believer that if the offense doesn't support the defense playing well, then the defense is going to have its breaking point. The defense maybe, not maybe, they definitely did start the first half on a poor note. And actually, when the offense was struggling, I think they were able to really to hold their own. But in the second half, when the offense comes out flat again with a 3 and out, maybe that was an early, if not surprising, breaking point for the defense. They just didn't do enough really to carry the team. They definitely have their part in the loss. I'm not going to say they're going to have a more significant part than the offense. You look at the Houston offense and kind of Wigman, their quarterback, again, not putting guarding numbers, 17 out of 22, 201 yards, one touchdown passing. But I really just feel that their running game was a straw that stirred the drink for the Cougars. They were able to rush for 183 yards and did score 2 touchdowns. So I think the Houston offense, as we suspected, very, very slow, very methodical. Their first scoring drives of the game, which led them to a 10-0 lead, each drive was 10 plays. So I think that really did frustrate the ASU defense. Again, to the ASU's defense credit, they were able to settle down, but just had a very, very poor start to the second half. And I think that just really we're not able to create that spark. We're not able to create that turnover. And anytime they did have maybe a good stretch of plays, being able to pitch 3 and outs, the offense more often than not was not able to respond. But you also have to give a word to special teams. I mean, just mistakes galore all around. When you have not 1 but 3 kickoffs, which go to sizable gains and are called back because of penalties, your punting game, time and time again, just pales the comparison to what the opponent is able to do. So now the defense has to work more often than not, but with shorter fields. When you just have a special teams that is not able to really contain the return game of the opponent, it's just really mistake, compounding mistake, and you don't get special teams more responsibility compared to the offense, compared to the defense. But when you have a somewhat close game like this, you need special teams to step up, and it just seems impossible to even ask them to do that at this point. So really, it's just a matter of just neither offense nor defense or special teams are really doing their part to get ASU over the hump. And here we are, really talking about our first loss at home, but more importantly, just an absolutely disappointing performance. I know some will say that the performance at Utah was more disappointing than tonight, but at least in Utah, it was one of those instances where you just weren't in the game, from the opening kickoff until the clock all showed zeros. Over here, it seemed like, yes, you put yourself in a 24-0 hole, but you definitely did have opportunities, and you were at home to really try to negate some of the shortcomings. Were not able to do it. So it really was an absolute embarrassing performance all around for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, Hode, ASU now falls to 3-2 in Big 12 play. Going to be a steep hole for the Sun Devils to try and climb out of if they want to make their way back to the Big 12 championship. Do you see any signs of hope or life moving forward?
Well, let's put it this way, Justin. I mean, they are basically right now dependent on maybe 5 different teams. And all those wacky tiebreaker rules, which even last year, as great as that season was, they didn't know until hours after the Territorial Cup win if they were going to be in or out the Big 12 championship game. So obviously having the two losses in conference play, and it's not Halloween yet, is definitely not a good position, to be in. Needless to say that their game at Iowa State on the road next week is really gonna tell us a lot if there's still going to be a glimmer of hope, because obviously when you're going to have 3 losses in Big 12 play, should they lose at Iowa State next week, then basically that story's done, and now it's a matter of which bowl you're going to qualify, to have any kind of postseason play. I think just ASU right now needs to concentrate on fixing itself. Offense, defense, special teams need to take a long look in the mirror and say how do we go ahead and fix all the shortcomings that we displayed this evening, and there really were a lot of shortcomings to display. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Houston. This is one hell of a team that came in, maybe not with all the pops and circumstances and the sexiness, so to speak, that Texas Tech came in last week. But nonetheless, this is one heck of a team, and this is not a program where you can spot them 24 points and think that you can just dig yourself out of a hole, even at home, a stadium that's been very, very kind for you for the last 700 days. So I think it's just definitely going to be a very tough hill to climb. Again, I'm not thinking that ASU is going to make a repeat performance, or return to the Big 12 championship game. But the game against Iowa State is really going to tell us everything.
Well, thank you for your insight. The home streak has officially come to end for the Sun Devils. They now head to Ames, Iowa, to take on the Iowa State Cyclones next week in what kind of seems like a do-or-die game for ASU at this point in the season. So stay locked in on all the coverage. Go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at Devils Digest. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors and Burrito Express and Santan Ford. And as always, I'm Dustin Lasatosa. That's Papa Hodomino. We'll talk to you guys during the week.